So today we wanted to chat about guided pathways. A self-assessment is done. I'm going to kick it off with the first slide. So the first slide I wanted to start off with is what are guided pathways? This is a statewide initiative to increase student success while closing equity gaps. And we understand what equity gaps are. You know, those individuals that may be further behind because of income, because of schooling, because of their backgrounds, would need additional assistance to complete. So this is a statewide initiative. It integrates existing initiatives, the Student Success Support Program, the Equity Program, which we have received funding for, Basic Skills Program, which we receive funding for, the new Strong Workforce Program, which is to roll out and expand career education. By the way, the new term is now career education, not career technical education, which I think makes a lot of sense. And the California Promise, as well as the LA Promise. You all know that the legislature approved and the governor approved California Promise, which is the first year of full-time students will receive their fees will be waived at the community colleges. They're still working with Department of Finance on the allocation, which has not been secured yet, but it's about $32 million, they estimate, that all students in California will receive fee or tuition free the first year, full-time students. This is also a program that encourages program maps with specific course sequences so students understand the academic career options, choose a program of study, and develop an educational plan. And this is really important for faculty to be involved in developing these maps and these sequences. And the plan enables college to schedule classes predictably and offer tutoring and other support to help students complete their programs. So the idea again is completion. We want our students to complete in a reasonable period of time. We're shooting for 3 years instead of 4. The Cal States is going through something very similar right now with their goals to sort of redo mathematics prerequisites or mathematics sequences and get out of the remedial education business or basic skills business. So their faculty is going through a lot of discussion now about how they're going to sequence themselves. But it also is student services and support services, not only of student services, but all classified staff in supporting our students to complete. So it's a rather large undertaking. It's statewide. We will receive funding for this. But it will require good planning and 3 basic steps. The first step is inquiry. We have to look at ourselves. We have to reflect. What are we doing really well? What are we not doing so well in student services, in academics, in administration, in our business processes, how students pay, in our outreach, how we engage the high schools, how do we engage adult schools, how we engage the community. We're going to look at ourselves and we're going to look at data so we can really see how we're performing. So first is inquiry. Then second is design. Once we figure out how we're doing and what areas we really need to improve upon, then we're going to design a system, design an approach in guided pathways that will ensure student success. And then finally, once we finish design, then we get to implementation. Now this will require quite a bit of work, and so today is to introduce you to it, to get your thoughts. We do have the self-assessment online, and I'll give you the link in a minute. But next I'd like to invite Isabel Saber to look at the next slide.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're doing well. For those of us who have been around the educational block for a while, we have seen a number of initiatives that have come and gone or have stayed with a pot of money associated with each, and all of them designed to improve the student experience and close the gaps, the equity gaps that we have, and increase our graduation and success rates. And every single time we have received a pot of money, but we have not seen the needle move so much. We have seen triple SP, we have seen basic skills, we have seen equity. I can go on and on. So it's very easy to be demoralized and say, well, this is yet another pot of money and another initiative, the latest thing that we have to do that is going to hopefully change things, but then it may not, just like the other ones have not. We have had a lot of great ideas, a lot of hard work that has gone into each one of these. Thank you. And yet, we have not gotten the bang for our buck that we wanted. So how is this different? How can it be different? So I found out today that our allocation of money for this project is going to be about $980,000 over a 5-year period, which means that we're going to get a little bit less than $200,000 a year to dedicate to this effort. How are we going to spend this money in the most efficient, the most productive way in order to get what we need out of it? So where did the guided pathways begin? It started with some research that started at CCRC, the Community College Research Center at Columbia University. This is a center that was founded about 20 years ago at Columbia University, where a number of researchers in the School of Education started concentrating on community college offerings and the community college student experience all over the country. And I know that some of you have been following their publications, which are really of a very high caliber. And one of the forefront faculty in that department, Thomas Bailey, wrote a book in 2011 about redesigning the community college student and experience. And I know that some of you have read the book, and for those of you who haven't, I highly recommend it because it really charts the pathway of what this project and this philosophy is about. It's more about looking at the student in terms of the whole experience, as opposed to, well, student services does its things, the academic affairs does its thing, and so on and so forth. How do we come together and look at things from the student experience? When we get them in our classes, what are we going to have to do differently in order to address the needs of students of color, of women in science, of students that are socioeconomically disadvantaged? How do we address their needs and meet them where they are? So the Guided Pathway Project started at CCRC, and it's gotten a lot of momentum over the years. Until the last year or so, it's become very prominent in California, and the Chancellor's Office decided to throw us some money thinking that we could do something with this. So there are multiple branches and arms to the guided pathways. One of the things that is very dear to me personally, that I think is going to make a difference this time when some of the other initiatives may have been less successful, is that it really demands of the institution to come together. We cannot say, oh, this is just academic affairs. Oh, this is just student services. As Dr. Perez mentioned a few minutes ago, this is a campus-wide effort. And I'm so pleased to be standing here and looking back at this year and realizing how far we've come in terms of the integration of our efforts between student services and academic affairs and also administrative services. I think Dr. Villa and his group have been instrumental in making sure that what we achieve in academic affairs is implemented in the right way. So what are the branches and the arms of guided pathways? There are 6 that have been identified in this schematic. And in some of these branches, we have actually done quite a bit of progress already, but now the question is, how do we bring them together? So starting with the light bulb on the upper right-hand corner, we're talking about redesigning and integrating basic skills and developmental instruction or education classes. The vast majority of our students enroll in one or more basic education classes, either in English or math, most of the time in both. And this is a spiral out of which they almost never come out. So if you look at the data on how many students start at a basic skills level and make it to a college level math class or English class and English class, we're talking about less than 7% of the incoming students who make it out of that spiral into a college level class. So we, in effect, if we look at it at the level of the institution, we are experiencing a 7% success rate, which should horrify all of us, that we lose 93% of the students along the way. And these are lives that are being affected, that are, and goals that are unfulfilled. And how do we make sure that to change that paradigm, to make sure that 93% succeed and maybe we lose 7%. Hopefully we won't even lose 7%. So what do we do about our basic skills courses? How do we restructure them? What it is that we need to bring to the table in terms of curriculum, scheduling, support in terms of tutoring, co-requisites, and so on and so forth in order to make that experience more inclusive and more attentive to the students' needs. Then the second one is structured onboarding processes. This is where we have shined in recent times. We have had fall kickoffs that have come out of ATD that our faculty have been so instrumental in getting off the ground. And this has become such a well-oiled machine every summer when Cindy and Diana get to work and they put this huge production together. How do we expand on that? Summer Bridge, that was expanded this last summer, and we were able to bring on so many new students and align it with the college promise. How do we make that become more institutionalized? Our outreach program that has been incredible this year in terms of bringing students and going to high schools. Instructional support and co-curricular activities. Again, our LRC has been moving along in leaps and bounds over the last year. We have made so much progress, and hopefully we will continue to make that progress. Along the line, we see what's going on, for example, in the math department, where they're just putting some courses, some CORs through curriculum right now in terms of co-requisite classes, right, Carol? What's the number? I forgot the number. 157. So these are classes that are going to be added for students who need just a little bit of support here and there. How can we make sure that we have that in all the other areas where that need exists? How do we scale it up? Responsive student tracking systems. So this is one of the things that we need to work on. How do we track students who fall off the wagon, who disappear? How do we bring them back to the fold? How do we make sure that we don't lose them? Proactive academic and career advising. We have a great counseling department. How do we make sure that we get more of that help available to students through transfer advising, through STEM advising, CTE advisement, career advancement, transfer, I saw that, what's the other one? There are so many. So we have a lot of good things going on that we can scale up. And finally, programs that are fully mapped out and aligned. So this is the recent work that has been started by the Meta Majors group that started its work this summer to look at how we can map out classes so that the schedule of classes is not this huge maze that is going to frighten students. And they have an idea as to the generic area that they would want to study in and have roadmaps for them to be able to follow. This is really exciting work, and we have a really great group of faculty working on that, and hopefully we'll continue to work on that. So this is a very quick snapshot of what's going on with guided pathways. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. There are a set of materials at the table here, the self-assessment, the PowerPoint, the names of the individuals that are on the functional teams. And before I go to that, there is a national meeting on guided pathways in Washington, D.C., November 16th through the 18th. There are individuals that will be going to that and getting a national perspective on the work that originally started in Columbia. So now I would like to turn it over. By the way, the whole self-assessment draft is on the Academic Senate website. So it's on our home website. Click onto the Academic Senate and you'll see the self-assessment study that we're going to be discussing. So now I would like Deborah Paulson to come up and talk about the teams.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out today. And I just want to mention that I just returned from the Academic Senate CCC State Plenary, where the delegates, state Senate presidents, and other Senate leaders came together from all over the state to pass resolutions to help address the needs of our students. The theme of the plenary was change. Guided pathways was a very hot topic this year, and there were 6 resolutions passed regarding us building those frameworks and faculty involvement in building those frameworks. The Academic Senate has collaborated with Academic Affairs in putting together this required element of the Guided Pathways Initiative. What the assessment tool represents is a group of faculty and administrators coming together to be reflective about where we are and where we need to go. This is why we are here today, to present the first draft of the self-assessment tool and receive feedback from faculty, staff, and most importantly, students. We need more students. I want to thank all the faculty and administrators that helped put together the self-assessment. So the first one, I asked everybody to help present, so you don't have to listen to me present the whole thing. And the first person to present is Veronica Allen, and she's going to talk about cross-functional inquiry.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see everyone here, and in the interest of time, I'll be brief. I think everyone got this as an attachment, as well as some handouts that are here that VP Saber sent out to us in preparation of today's event. For the first item, cross-functional inquiry, I worked with Dean Sarah Master, and I was fortunate to be part of a group, a delegation from Mission that went to a IEPI workshop to prepare the college for this assessment, and this item was discussed among faculty, administrators, and there was a student representative as well. And for this item, we chose, the team chose early adoption. And you can read through the item and what the criteria for early adoption is, but I'll just point out a few things from this. Some of the responses included for the early adoption in item 1 is that the college does have constituents on campus that use data through various sources, and that this data is used, local data is used to support student success and also for multiple stakeholders to develop strategies to help improve student success initiatives on campus. Some of those programs include the 3SP, Student Equity, and Basic Skills Initiative. Another thing that we included in this response was that currently Mission College does have some groups on campus that are either formal groups like the C's Committee or newly appointed groups like the Guided Pathway Steering Committee through Academic Senate that are having conversations on Guided Pathway, but there is still a sense that a lot of these conversations are somewhat siloed within the divisions that the conversations are going on. And so one challenge and also goal is to help clarify the roles of the stakeholders or the participants in these different groups, and also to eliminate the duplication of services or efforts towards student success. Another thing that we wanted to share about this particular item is that Academic Affairs has identified a group of cross-discipline faculty to work on one element of Guided Pathways, which is the Meta Majors group that we continue to work off of the presentation that was done at Flex Day to get feedback from both faculty, staff, and students on campus. One recent accomplishment is that a 20-person steering committee that Academic Senate appointed. There are several accomplishments as well as the programs I already mentioned, the 3SP, the Student Equity Basic Skills, but some challenges that the college also faces, including what I mentioned, clarifying roles, not duplicating efforts, and also really encouraging a culture of data or evidence-based decision-making that is inclusive among many different departments or services and stakeholders on campus. If you have any questions about this, there may be another time for that, but I don't want to take time up for that as there's other people that are presenting, and also you can read more detailed information on the responses in the attachment that you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. And I'm going to present shared metrics. And this part of the report was put together by Jan Silver, Carlos Gonzalez, and Sarah Master. The shared metrics is asking whether the college clearly identifies benchmarks and student data to track progress on key activities and student academic and employment outcomes, and that those benchmarks are shared across key initiatives. We chose, or they chose, early adoption, that key benchmarks and progress on student and data are used, and they are beginning to be aligned across initiatives. The college clearly uses identified benchmarks and student data to track student academic and employment outcomes, set the college institutional standards. We use student equity metrics, performance measures, and we disaggregate them by gender, ethnicity, age, entering status, educational goals, disability status, and income status. The college annually revises and revisits college plans to support 3SP, student equity, and basic skills initiatives. What we need to do, some of our accomplishments are that we have made a lot of progress integrating different plans from multiple funding streams by working across disciplines between student services and academic affairs. Other accomplishments include our CTE advisory committees and information about industry standards, which helps us design our programs. Some of the challenges that we have are one of the top most things mentioned in this self-assessment report you'll notice is PeopleSoft. So PeopleSoft is identified as one of our big challenges on campus right now. And also tracking employment outcomes has been difficult, but we hope to improve that through our CTE programs. So that's that part of the report. And then for the next part of the report, I want to call up Jacob Skelton. Jacob, are you here? And Cindy Lewis. Oh, I'm sorry. Integrated planning.
Hi everyone. So I was working on the integrated planning section, and I chose to do the early adoption because we're doing a lot of work on campus for integrating our plans. And the only reason I didn't go to scaling and progress is because they really want to focus on integrating our plans with a guided pathways framework. And we're just starting to talk about guided pathways in our integration of our plans. So I wrote down that we have an integrated planning committee now that has been working on integrating the district strategic master plan, our college's strategic master plan, the education plan, the technology master plan, the student services master plan, and the distance education master plan, and then our new integrated 3SP equity and BSI plan. So we have a committee on campus now that's working to integrate those plans. One or two accomplishments that the college has achieved is setting up our new Cs committee that we started in the spring. And we brought together the Student Equity Committee, the BSI College Readiness Committee, and the 3SP Committee. Did I say them all? 3SP Equity and the College Readiness Committee. And that committee is a group of 21 people that includes people from all sectors of our campus, including academic affairs, student services, administrators, faculty, staff, and students, with Senate and union representation. So it covers all different stakeholders on our campus. And then that group has developed the new 2017-19 integrated plan that puts together the BSI, the student equity, and the 3SP plans into one plan. We're integrating all of our resources together. The other accomplishment is that we sent a team of 12 people to the IEPI Guided Pathways Workshop in Los Angeles that Deborah mentioned earlier, that we got people from all over campus to attend that workshop. Some challenges or barriers, as we were working on integrating our plans, we found there's just an overwhelming amount of data that needs to be included. And it's hard to get all the information that we need. Also, having limited funds, we have to prioritize what can we do and what can't we do. The other barrier I put down was that we need to develop a better communication plan so that we all know what's going on, so that everybody knows what everyone else is doing, so that we are all working together. That's all.
Hey everybody, my name is Jacob Skelton and I am a professor in the ESL department. And I had question 4, inclusive decision-making structures. So essentially the question is, how do we include everyone and how are all voices heard? And I worked on this question with VP Saber, and this was actually one of the questions we discussed at the IEPI event a couple of weeks ago with several members of the college. I marked this down for this as, well, we marked this down as in the early adoption stage, because that means we have a long way to go to really make sure that this box is checked off. At this time, we have the meta major team, which is exploring the concept of meta majors and course mapping, and the academic senate is now involved. 1 or 2 accomplishments that the college has achieved so far, in addition to the presentation at Flex Day, at which we got a lot of great feedback from faculty and other constituents here. The Guided Pathways Steering Committee has been created at the Senate level, and that is a representation of all aspects of LA Mission academic life. Just a couple of challenges very quickly. One thing we noted was just the size of the steering committee can make it a challenge for everyone to meet at the same time. But having said that, it is important that all voices are heard. So kind of like what Cindy mentioned, we need to have a mechanism that allows us to communicate a little more easily and to share feedback and to make sure no one's voices are left out and that all information is clear and transparent. So any additional information, generally speaking, the feedback we got at the Flex Day was mixed. We had some pretty positive comments, but other important questions and challenges, which we are certainly considering and looking at. And, as we know, this is an institution-wide effort, so inclusiveness is a big part of that. And any questions or concerns you have with this, with regard to this aspect, please let us know. Thank you.
So for intersegmental alignment, I did this with Curtis and Madeline, and you can all read this, so I'm going to try not to read right off it. For our K through 12, we think we're doing a strong job. We know how we have strong alignment with LAUSD, and we continue to strengthen that partnership, both through LA Promise, and we have a strong pathway to our credit by exams so that they can get credit for our courses, the high school students. Since I'm the articulation officer for our university partners, I think we're doing a great job. We actually do have full articulation with all surrounding UC and CSUs as well as all the local privates, and I continue to develop those, and certainly faculty can make requests to me to reach out to other partners, and we can develop more, continue to develop more. For industry, I relied on Curtis. That's not my area, so he felt that we do have in our CTE programs strong partnerships with industry, and we do have our regional consortiums. So we think we're in really good shape here, so that's why we chose scaling and progress on that. Should I go? Do you want me to do the next one too, Deborah? Yeah. I have to get off to curriculum, so I'm going to do my next part, which is on the integrated technology infrastructure. On that one, a lot of it, as you know, is PeopleSoft, our new SIS system. I think it's important for all of us to remember, and one of the concerns we have, and I'm also on District Academic Senate, and it's a concern there, that we make sure that we optimize, all 9 colleges optimize our shared technology resources. This is going to be extremely important to make guided pathways effective for our students. Our students are all our college's students. So I really think we have this opportunity for all of our students at all the colleges to have these clear pathways. I'm a little concerned if we make them look different technology-wise at the colleges, it's going to result in confusion for our students. So we've had some painful transition to PeopleSoft, but it's a powerful system. It can serve as the course mapping. It can serve as a progress towards degree. It's got a degree on it component to it. It's got the student educational plan in it. So we want to make sure we use this very powerful technology and optimize it, and not think we have to go get another program to do course mapping. No, we don't. It's right there. We've got it already. We just have to learn how to use it.
Hi, everyone. I am going to present the improved basic skills on behalf of the team, and I am going to talk on behalf of the math department. We felt that we are still in the early adoption stages. There's still a lot that we can do to improve. We have implemented the multiple measures. Students are being assessed in math based on their GPA and the last math course that they took. We do have a pathway to stats, the Math 137. We did reinstate an accelerated elementary and an intermediate algebra course that's going to help the students get to the college level math course faster. And as was mentioned earlier, we are working on some new courses as a response to the AB 705. We have a co-requisite course that's coming into curriculum where students will assess into it because of the remediation part. So even if they're not strong in algebra, we can remediate them while they're taking statistics. We also reinstated Math 235, which is finite math, again, just to offer the students alternative pathways to get them through college level. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Gary Prostak also added to improve basic skills.
Hi. I can speak very briefly just to the ESL part of this, because ESL, although not truly a remediation program, is lumped in with basic skills. My department is ESL and DevCom. DevCom has been collaborating over the past couple of years with the English department, and we have accelerated pairings of courses already in place that should stand us in good stead as we work towards meeting the mandates of AB 705. And AB 705 will impact ESL because they're now saying that ESL students as well have only 3 years in which to enter and complete a transfer level course. So in the ESL discipline, we've started some collaborations with other disciplines, and we're looking at our curricular offerings and how we structure our program and what classes we can offer to give the students the support they need to move a little more quickly through the program on that very aggressive timeline that's sort of being given to us. That's sort of where we are right now. Okay.
Okay, hello everyone. I worked on self-assessment number 12, Aligned Learning Outcomes, with Deborah Paulson and Sarah Master. The scale of adoption that we selected was full scale, and for the following reasons. We feel that our student learning, program learning, and institutional learning outcomes are regularly revised and reviewed for purposes of alignment, academic rigor, relevance, and currency. Also, learning outcomes at the course and program levels are directly tied to our ILOs, and the college ensures that instructional programs remain appropriate to higher education by means of our course outlines, exit standards, and specifically the ILOs.
We do semi-annual ILO and PLO reports on assessment, and modifications take place, enabling faculty to monitor our student development. And the results of our learning outcomes assessments are used specifically to inform professional development. For example, we hold the SLO Summit annually for faculty to get together and engage in enriching discussions, share best practices, again, in regards to assessments. A couple of accomplishments that we can note is our college has a homegrown online system for managing and tracking our learning assessments. And we're also a leader amongst many other campuses in our innovative learning assessment methods, particularly at the ILO level. A couple challenges that we noted were some presentations with our programming in terms of our online SLO system as we adopt with the new technological changes, specifically with PeopleSoft. And we also noted that additional training may be needed for various faculty who may be new or faculty who have a variety of levels of knowledge, specifically with assessments. I'll move on to the next one. I did not specifically contribute to this team, but Emil Sarkisian, Stephen Brown, and Patricia Chow contributed. This one is our assessing and documenting learning. The scale of adoption they selected was scaling in progress for the reason that the attainment of learning outcomes is continuously tracked for programs and made available to all faculty and students. Some accomplishments they noted are the tremendous growth in our learning area outcomes, with the vast majority of our programs and courses regularly assessed and utilizing the assessment results to improve our effectiveness. And some challenges that they noted were that students could be made more aware of learning outcome results as they occur in the classrooms, programs in the institution. Specifically, the purpose of that is for our students to be able to maybe access this information maybe in a more visible area related to a tab for students, the visibility purposes, so that they can find it with ease instead of having to search all over our website in order to find the information. So that's all I have. Thank you.
So I chose early adoption, and so currently the college has structures in place through the Career Center to assist students with major and career exploration. And the college is planning to make the Career Center the hub for meta majors. So that's something that we're working on or planning to explore students' interests and values and goals, and they can choose a pathway that aligns with their educational and career goals. Some accomplishments that we have already was the meta majors team, which we developed the matrix of 8 meta majors, and we got feedback on Flex Day regarding the meta majors. And also 2 course maps were created by the Allied Health and Child Development Department, and we have those as a starting point or an example. We also have structures have also been implemented through the Career Center to help students explore their majors and careers, such as career assessments, exploration workshops, and career and major events. So those are all workshops through the Career Center, and one of them is called Discover My Major, where students take career assessment tests to determine their interests, values, and goals, and then we help them to select, a major and look at various careers and help them to declare a major. Once they've declared a major, then we do a student education plan with them. Some challenges might be that some faculty have expressed concerns about the ideal of meta majors because they feel that students in community colleges should explore different careers by taking various classes. Faculty have also shared concerns that some students may not fall under one of the 8 meta majors. Another barrier is financial challenges, as there may be limited funds available to pay for coaches and to offer faculty and counselors release time to design course maps. Implementing a process that makes sure that students complete the career assessment test and receive appropriate advising may also be a challenge. Course offerings and scheduling may also hinder progress. In addition, having a large steering committee may make things a little bit difficult for all members to meet. Further, to make this a true institutional effort, the college must assure that the process is inclusive and collaborative. So more input is needed from the counseling department, various academic disciplines, and students as well. So the development of the meta majors is in the preliminary stages, and it has not yet been vetted by faculty, staff, or students. And although we got some feedback the day of Flex Day, further discussions need to take place. Also with the counseling department and the various disciplines, and also in finalizing the meta majors and also creating course maps. We also need student input, and currently the meta majors team is planning to do an activity with students so that students can give us feedback on the meta majors and the organization of the meta majors and the naming of the meta majors as well. A plan to expand the Career Center has been initiated, but more resources will be needed to assure that the career assessment, meta major exploration selection, and career-focused academic planning can be achieved at scale. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, so I worked on this with Marla Uliana and Carolyn Daly, and we felt that we are still in the early stage of adoption because we do have some CTE programs that actually map out their courses and programs. However, we weren't really aware of how this work is being done, you know, cross-culturally, cross-disciplinary with teams of faculty. Some accomplishments the college has achieved in this element are, of course, the establishment of the Meta Majors Guided Pathway Group that is comprised of cross-discipline faculty representation. Additionally, we wanted to highlight programs like law. They really have offered their complete program online. They also offer hybrid courses, and they cycle their courses fall and spring. This information is posted on their website, and it's very easy to plan student educational plans knowing this information. So we feel like this facilitates program completion. Some challenges and barriers we felt were getting faculty on board and how programs will be mapped, and in developing the predictable schedules, because a lot of work still needs to be done in terms of how scheduling will be done for pathways. And just moving forward, we felt that in terms of mapping and predictable schedules, it's important to include information about prerequisites, because just addressing course requirements doesn't really address all the other prerequisites that may be involved with completing that program of study.
Okay, so we decided to focus on early adoption, but really I think we're in transition. I think it's very possible we'll move to scaling in progress with respect to this particular metric. One of the things we acknowledge is that we need to improve communication between groups on campus. That's an issue. One of the things that President Perez asked us to do this year was to improve communication between divisions, between student services and academic affairs, and at the dean level. And certainly we have evidence that that's been happening between the deans in both divisions, in sharing information and collaborating. But that extends to the whole campus with regard to improving communication. So one of the things that I'm going to say is going to sound a bit repetitive, but we did consolidate the Student Equity, SSSP, and BSI committees into one committee, or one informal group. It was never a formal group until maybe next week, and I'll explain. The three came together, and this group, which eventually called itself a SEAS group, Student Equity and Access, and I always get the last letter wrong, support group, has been meeting regularly and has put in a number of hours, a large number of hours, into thinking through where are we going as a college to improve student success outcomes for us. So since January of 2017, this has been happening. The group has organized itself to the point where we proposed a charter for the group that's been vetted with the Academic Senate, vetted within the C's group, which is very constituent-based, and we are now prepared to submit to the College Council at their next meeting approval of the charter so that we can become an official committee of the college, so we can do work within the context of the organization of the college and make sure it applies shared governance principles. So we're excited about that. One of the challenges that we face at this point is to figure out how this C's group will work effectively with other groups, and particularly the Academic Senate, the ASO, the classified staff, and other constituent groups, so that we have clear and transparent communication. And of course, alongside with that comes a high degree of trust between the groups, that we have a clear understanding of the parameters relative to the student success initiatives, such as guided pathways or meta majors that are embedded within guided pathways between the groups, and that we sustain what we perceive to be a high degree of collaboration and collegiality on this campus. We have a lot of positive momentum that we want to continue to sustain, and I think I can speak for many of our faculty and staff and students here. So we're excited about that, and we included that as a reflection within this part of this particular document. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. We chose to select in progress for our committee. Although most professional development activities planned are aligned with the strategic goals of the college, these goals are not always the driving force for the planned activities. Some professional development activities are planned by departments and programs outside of the professional development committee and are not necessarily coordinated by the committee. Faculty Professional Development Hub is a very active in continuously offering training for technology and pedagogy. Faculty are surveyed during all major professional development events on campus, and collected data is used to address the professional development needs of faculty to improve the quality of the workshops. Classified staff are also surveyed annually, and the Professional Development Committee works closely with the classified unions to address those needs. Each year, the faculty gather on a designated SLO Summit Day to discuss the SLO results and how to improve our outcomes. Some challenges we face are better coordination among the campus entities that provide or are interested in providing training and professional development. And we believe that this is one area where we can improve to move ourselves from the in-progress category into full scale, and to better align our professional development with the needs of the college. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I just want to get a couple of things that we have put together that we actually have been working on for a number of years, and one of them is the in progress. The section that we selected here for this and what we have been doing in the Culinary Arts, our program actually provides great support for restaurants, local hotels, and the culinary industry as a whole around the surrounding communities. We actually have students embedded at a lot of restaurants, perhaps Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, and Ventura Boulevard. We have a ton of people that we work, or most of the students are hired there. Hospitality industry sector for pathways include local restaurants, bakeries, schools, hotels, and assisted living facilities looking for trained students. Our Culinary Arts programs offer programs-based learning, internship, externship, along with interdisciplinary studies. Also using multiple methods that include outreach and high school presentations. So what we do is we do an assortment of things throughout the semester that we do continue in progress, right? We also have a great relationship that we actually built for the past 21 years with the program that is called CCAP, Career for Culinary Arts program, which is actually a program which serves underserved population of students. They are coming in from high school. So this particular CCAP program, we actually train between 27 to 37 high schools, which bring, just this past 2 weeks ago, we had 67 students that came in to train on our great facilities, and we use them. The CCAP Los Angeles, basically we provide the basic training for them. So this program has been very good for them, and our college has provided that in-progress need that these particular students need. This particular program actually offers anywhere between $500 scholarship all the way to $125,000 scholarship through a high-end institutions such as the CIA, the Culinary Institute of America, JW, Johnson & Wales University. So these high-end places where we actually can send our students there. So it's kind of in progress, something that we are making progress as to how can we strengthen our ties with them, because they're actually nationwide and they're housed, their main offices in New York. So it's, I think for us as a culinary world, it'll be perfect for us in progress. We are continuing to offer stackable certificates for our students, where they actually can go from 1 certificate in a semester, 2 certificates, and they can actually continue up to an AA degree. We are actually working on 3 more classes that we can offer an associate's degree in baking. And there are various things that we are working. One of the challenges we are facing is basically we noticed the need, before we actually moved to this great building that we now are housed in. We actually, if you guys maybe remember, we were housed for 17 years in a little rinky-dinky corner on our end. We pushed in about 450 students through a 2,500 square foot building, and since we moved here, we actually stopped offering classes in the afternoon, and I think that's a great area that we are kind of have a challenge there, where we actually are looking into strengthen those, because we see the need. Some of the working chefs in the morning, they want to come in the evening, and they actually take a class in the evening. So that's something that we are working towards, and I think Isabel Saber plays a great role. She's a great supporter of us, so we are, I think we're going to make progress in that. And as far as the last one, comments, is there anything else? I think that was one of the biggest things that I wanted to share with you, what we are doing with the high school. We also we have been partnering with LACO. We're offering classes here, and we're actually offering classes in institutions outside. We're right now working with the campus, not camp anymore, campus Kilpatrick, where we will be offering various classes for those youth. They've been challenging youth. They had trouble, and now we actually, it's a rehabilitation program, which is going to be very fruitful for us and continue our relationship to serve the community. So anyhow, I just want to share that. Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay, well, a few of you left here. We're wrapping up for any questions. We do have resources supportive of the teams, the 14 teams. Again, they're on the Academic Senate website. One of them is November 17th. Dr. Villa has arranged the the Education Advisory Board to do a workshop around guided pathways. They're a national group, research-based group. The other is that we have 2 professors who've been trained, Par Mohammedian and Jose Maldonado. Jose, I'd like you to come up for a few minutes and discuss the resources that you were provided and the training that you can provide. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. While he's coming up, let me just wrap up with the final 2 slides. Basically, we've made a lot of progress. We have some challenges, so I'll finish with that, and then we'll finish with any questions. Jose, Professor?
I apologize, I got here a little bit late, but I just had a couple of things that I wanted to say, and one of them is that I think that everyone's pretty much aware that this is pretty awesome project, right? I mean, it's pretty humongous, and the idea is to try to integrate as much of our work on campus so that we can better serve our students. And it will take a lot, obviously, of self-reflection for each of our disciplines, be honest, and I've seen a lot of that. One of the things that is lacking, and that was my concern since the beginning, though, was the student voice, right? I've always said that. In a lot of the things that we do on campus, and for whatever reason, maybe we're not reaching out, maybe they're not interested or whatever, but I think that if we're designing programs for them, they need to be in the room and at the table, right? And so what I finally did on Friday, I made it an assignment. Unfortunately, I was not able to provide much context or explain the language on these tools, because they're not it's not something that you can readily pick up if you're not already involved in doing a lot of this work, So this is just from what they emailed to me. There's some stuff that was posted online in my classes, and I have not even had a chance to go through them, to tell you the truth. I just printed it up right now before coming to the meeting. So I just wanted to say that one thing, that I think that it should be more student involvement from this point forward, as much as we can. And I know that we have students, they're willing to do it. They're willing to do the work, right? What I did was I basically broke it up by last names, and I said, this group do this section and so on. So they're willing to do the work. I have I guess the facility of incorporated into my class, because this is what we do, right? This is what we do. But also that we make sure that this is only a preliminary assessment. And with the funds that come in, we really need to do a more in-depth programmatic assessment of how we can link all these things. One of the things, I've been to the training in Sacramento, and then I've been facilitator at least 4 other the trainings. I think your committee went to at least one of those. And they have had panels of people who have already implemented them to various degrees. And one of the things that stuck out from one campus, I forget which campus it was, that they found that they were losing 40% of their students between the admissions office and the business office. For whatever reason. Maybe they were just confused, they couldn't find it, and they just gave up. A lot of first-time, college students, first generation, who knows what the reason is, but these are some of the things that they were discovering along the way, right? So these are some of the things I think that we might brace ourselves for, right? That we're gonna find some stuff that we're gonna say, oh, dang, didn't know that, right? And to try to figure out ways to address them. As a department, Chicano Studies, we've already started doing some pathway work, some different stuff for a few years, and we're more than willing to work with other groups and departments to help coordinate, AAs and meta majors and things like that as well. Because we know that the third thing that I wanted to mention is that culturally responsive pedagogy is imperative. If this isn't an opportunity to study that, then I don't know what is. So thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to working with everyone, including our students, on this important project. So thank you.
Thank you, Professor Maldonado. We did have, and I'm glad you brought up student Jose Custodio did attend the IEPI Guided Pathways, and he sat at the table, was very helpful. Absolutely right. We need to make sure students are the centerpiece of our work. So we have a Guided Pathway Steering Committee. We have an Integrated Planning Committee, which is part of our accreditation quality focus for the next 6 years. We are hosting broad-based discussions, and you have C's there. We are moving forward, of course, with learning outcomes assessment, acceleration of basic skills. Meta majors have been researched and continuously, and we do have robust industry and high school partnerships that has occurred. So the challenges are right in front of you. Specific roles for stakeholders. We need to clearly define our roles. Classified staff, admissions and records, custodians, faculty, administration, the students. We all have a role in this, as Deborah Paulson put it, and Jose Maldonado put it, a major change that are taking place with higher education, community colleges. We need to share the metrics that we have with regard to how we're doing. we already know that 50% of the students who apply to LACCD do not enroll. That's an interesting statistic, kind of along the lines you just brought up, Professor Maldonado. Why don't they enroll? There may be a number of reasons for that. They go to other colleges, they change their mind, or they just didn't know when to enroll or how to enroll. So there's a lot we need to look at. We need to coordinate our professional development. Of course, the course mapping that you have Mi Chong discussed, and Deborah Paulson and others, and has to be vetted through the Academic Senate. Curriculum is extremely important. The Senate has to play a very central role, as well as with outcomes assessment. And finally, we have to have good communication, regular communication, ongoing communication among all of us about this. So I believe Deborah had indicated we need to complete the self-assessment by December 1st. If, again, get online, go to the website, look at the material, it's still a draft. If you have suggestions or ideas, you can email Isabel Saber and or both Deborah Paulson so they can get to the teams and provide that input. But this is a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, but it is a journey we're all going to go together with. So if you recall, the one point we were on an airplane and I was a captain, and all hands on deck with the ship the next year. Again, here we go with another journey, all hands on deck, and I'm proud to be part of this effort and part of the team. Any questions, suggestions, ideas for Deborah or myself or others? Yes. Oh, Deborah, do you want to, 157, come on up here, Deborah. You can answer it.
Okay, any other questions then? That's clear.
Could you repeat that?
157 as a course number is what we're thinking, not a number of courses.
Very good. Thank you. That blew me away too. Yeah, that's the course number. Okay. Any other questions? Well, thank you for staying. Please get some more punch and coffee. You will be having regular communication from Deborah and I in Academic Affairs and Student Services about this. November 17th, we're having another workshop from external support systems with the Education Advisory Board. Anything else, Deborah? Thank you all. Take care.